what if I told you that low enthusiasm is a lag indicator? It's just a temperature gauge that tells you what's already happened. And what you really need to do if you want to change your enthusiasm as you show up for work as an entrepreneur is you have to figure out what are the lead indicators, the things that lead up to that result. So if low enthusiasm is the lag indicator, what can we do to increase your enthusiasm? That's the question that we're going to dive into today in this weekly challenge for entrepreneurs on peak productivity and far-sighted thinking. So let's just make sure you understand the difference between lead indicators and lag indicators. This is something I work on with all of my private clients. Whenever we're trying to help a business owner to achieve their goals faster, we're always going to look at, well, what are the lag indicators? Those are the things we can measure. Those are the things you care about. That's like the quarterly revenue or the total revenue you made this month. If you were trying to lose weight loss, what the scale shows you, that's the lag indicator. You can't directly control those things. If I say make money, you can't just say, okay, I'm going to make money. Or if I say lose weight, that's not an action you can take, right? The lead indicators are the actions that lead up to that end result. So for example, with weight loss, the lead indicators would be, did I follow my nutrition plan today? Did I follow my exercise plan today? Those are lead indicators that lead up to the lag indicator, which lags behind, and it shows us how did we do with those lead indicators. We can't directly control lag indicators. We can directly control lead indicators. Same thing with the finances in your business. There's all these complex layers in a business that we have to analyze and repeatedly simplify and try to gain a more complex understanding of so that we can then see the future before it arrives. We can recognize which lead indicators lead to those financial outcomes that your business cares about, or the increase in productivity or efficiency that you need to be able to deliver a higher level of value to your clients and customers. So this concept of lead indicators and lag indicators, let's apply it to a problem of low enthusiasm. You're showing up for work, but you're just not feeling it. You just don't want to get started. You wonder, why am I so tired? Where's the energy that I had when I started as an entrepreneur? And often it's because you're not clearly differentiating, you're not recognizing the lead indicators. You're just looking at the low enthusiasm, the low motivation, the low drive, and you're saying, what can I do to change this? And that's not the thing you can change. That's the outcome. It's the temperature gauge, right? So we want to look back a few steps. What are the things that lead up to that? And I'm going to give you just three common lead indicators that I want you to be thinking about here in just a minute. But first, let's just talk about boredom. So boredom, we think of it as a bad thing, right? We don't like feeling bored. When we're bored, it really can be, extreme boredom can be almost torturous in some ways. But if you think about it, if you look back through the development of how we became who we are and why some people survive and others don't, it really is an adaptive neurological state to be bored because it tells us something. And what boredom tells us is that the current environment is not relevant to our goals. And often that would mean survival goals. Imagine somebody 2,000 years ago searching for berries, and they're searching around this rocky cliff where there's no berries, no bushes, and they've been searching for 2 hours. If they didn't have that boredom reflex that says, this is boring, I'm going to quit this and I'm going to go somewhere else, then that person could spend many more hours doing something in an environment that is not relevant to their survival goals. And so that boredom is it's almost like an emotion that arises that tells you, it signals you to go do something else. So if you're experiencing low enthusiasm in your business, it's a very similar feeling to boredom. It's like a less extreme version of that. But what it tells us is that these tasks that you're working on, or the current goals that you have in front of you, they've stopped being connected or as connected as they once were to what feels most relevant to your survival needs, to your goals, to your basic desires as a human being for safety, security, love and connection, that desire to give back, all of those core needs that we have as humans. If they become disconnected from the task list that's sitting there in front of you, of course you're going to start to have low enthusiasm. So when it comes to creating the lead indicators, we want to think about three things. We want to make sure you've decided on a goal that you really do care about, to where you're not pretending. So we want to decide, believe, and then we want to connect. So we want to decide what you really want, make sure you're not going after some idea that you inherited from society about what you're supposed to want for your business. And then we want to make sure that we believe that we can cross the chasm, build a bridge from point A to point B. If you don't believe that, humans are built with a very good built-in BS detector. So I can do all the affirmations I want about the grass outside my house is pink. And I can say that over and over again. Like, the grass is pink, the grass is pink. But I have a natural built-in BS detector that allows me to recognize that that is a false statement, and it has no impact on me. In the same way, if you don't believe you can actually achieve a goal that you've set, your sense that this working toward it is relevant to your goals, it starts to drop, and your enthusiasm drops with it. And that's why we spend a lot of time in the coaching I do with entrepreneurs trying to make sure we have a clear plan, right? So first, decide what you want, then make sure you have a plan. You've outlined a plan to get it. And then third, of course, we're always working to make sure we can speed up that plan. But when it comes to enthusiasm, the third step is connect. We want to connect the boring stuff, the boring task lists that you have today, to the outcome that you want. So one of the things that happens neurologically for humans is temporal distortion when it comes to the motivation we feel. So what that means is the further out in time a consequence or a reward is, the less impact it has on my emotions right now. So if I believe that I can lose weight, but that's like 3 months out, and I have to do all of these things. I have to avoid eating chocolate cake and eat bran muffins and a lot of protein shakes, and it's just this boring thing that theoretically one day I'll look good. It's not nearly as powerful as the impact of something that's right now, right here in front of me. If there's a piece of chocolate cake sitting there on the counter, and I know within 30 seconds if I decide I'm going to go after that, then the reward is immediate. And that's why it's hard to resist. This is most of what constitutes what we call self-discipline. The capacity to become a disciple of yourself, which is a Dan Nicholson frame. If you wouldn't become a disciple of yourself, that probably means you're not practicing good self-discipline. And quick caveat, he's currently doing a free series on certainty. So if you're having any lack of certainty about decisions or what you really want in life, then I would encourage you to look in the links below this video and see if you can find that. We're going to put that in there so you can go capture that if you watch this video in time. You can go join in on Dan Nicholson's certainty talks that he's doing for the next 7 weeks. So here's what I want you to do, though, is think about these 3 steps. You've got to decide what you really want. You've got to believe that you can actually get it, but then you have to connect these tasks in front of you to your ultimate long-term goal, because that makes it relevant, right? That's what makes this stuff relevant, so it's no longer boring. It's no longer the cliff where you're looking for berries, but there's no berries there. You've got to connect in your mind. This is what Tony Robbins calls getting emotionally fit, and it actually is a practice. It's something that you can get better at. I personally have experienced this. There have been times in my life where I was not as good at being emotionally fit. I was externally focused. I waited for the environment to tell me what my emotions should be. And I've learned how to shift that, how to take a greater sense of internal locus of control, how to connect the things that are boring, that maybe if I was just to follow the temporal distortion motivation of the moment, I wouldn't feel that motivated to do those things. And I've learned how to connect those to the long-term goals by making a very vivid mental picture saying, what I do, if I do this list today, this stuff right here in front of me, this is what's going to determine whether or not I ever achieve that goal I want in the distant future. And one of my past lives, I worked because I'm a clinical psychologist, I did a lot of work with people with all kinds of things: depression, anxiety, marriage, relationships, addictions. And when I worked with people on smoking cessation, once in a while a physician would refer someone to me to work on that. One of the best things I could do is help a person to stop saying, well, it's just one more cigarette, I'll quit tomorrow. Or I was going to quit this week. Yeah, I know I made a plan, I made a commitment, but I was just like, I was having a bad day and I thought, what's one more cigarette? And the problem is that thought process can go on forever. You can just keep telling yourself, well, it's just one more. One cigarette's not going to give me lung cancer, right? And while technically that's true, you have to switch that narrative to say, no, it's this next cigarette, this one is the one that's going to kill me. Why do you have to do that? Because it's never going to be more than one cigarette, right? And so what we're talking about is a never-ending pattern. So you're going to quit eventually, right? You're going to be forced to quit when you're in the hospital dying of lung cancer. So you might as well quit now, right? So that's the difference that I would teach people to overcome cognitive distortion by making that one cigarette highly relevant to their survival goal. So if I can get them to think, no, it's this one. This one is the one that's going to push me over the edge and kill me. This is the one that's going to prevent me from being able to walk my daughter down the aisle. It's this cigarette right here in my hand. if you believe that, you want to get that cigarette as far away from you as you can. You want to burn it and destroy it as quickly as you can. Maybe not burn it, but you want to destroy it as quickly as you can. And that is because you've made it relevant to your survival goals. So with that task list in front of you, if you're showing up as an entrepreneur to work and you know you've got this long list of things and you're just not feeling it, ask yourself, what are the lead indicators that make me feel this way? Did I fail to connect this task to the ultimate long-term goal that I care about? And you need to create a vivid mental visualization that allows you to see not just the outcome you care about, but the path from here, from where I am to there, and see how these tasks right in front of you are that path. And you need to say, it's not someday later, then I'll feel enthusiastic. It's this list. Is if I can shift my state today, that's what's going to determine whether or not I achieve my goals. So your challenge this week is pay attention to the lead indicators, the things that are unique to you. I can give you templates like this. As a psychologist, I study this stuff and I notice patterns, but we're all different. So I'm challenging you to ask yourself, what do I know about myself? What have I noticed when I contrast the times when I have felt very enthusiastic about my work relative to the times when I don't? What's one thing, one unique thing you can use to add to your toolbox? This is a useful skill for an entrepreneur. As a productivity challenge, it takes you just maybe 2 minutes to think about this, but it gives you greater power over yourself, which will have a compounding effect over time in what you're able to accomplish. Simultaneously, you're building up your skills for a transferable set of skills that you can deploy to your team and help them to feel more motivated. When you talk to them, when you lead them, you're going to always be thinking this through. You're going to always be aware of how you're connecting the stuff that you're talking about, the boring stuff that, let's be honest, sometimes it's boring, to the long-term goals that matter to the company. Till next week, talk to you soon. Don't forget to check out the link for Dan Nicholson.